Liverpool's beating streak finally ends. Chelsea lose another game when they go down to 10 men, and Arsenal come back from behind. And I also look at the Champions League results. I'm Christopher Coleman, and welcome to the first episode of AfterMatch. Hello, welcome to AfterMatch. This is a new thing I'm going to do. I've always wanted to talk about football, and yeah, this is basically just going to be me going through usually just the weekend games, but I've had to record this after the Champions League games, so I might as well talk about them as well. But yeah, I'll tell you what I think about each game, what some of the things I've noticed from them, and maybe even try and try and see what will happen for the next games and stuff like that. I'll just basically talk about what I think about when I go to each game. And yes, I'm just currently in my office at home at the minute. Hopefully it'll improve if this actually goes well. So without further ado, let's get started. And yes, this is going to be completely unedited, so I'm going to have to go back. So it all started on. We'll get started now. It all started on Saturday, as it usually does. The other game was Brentford against Man United. In a game where you thought Man United might be able to build on the Chelsea game after winning. And like they thought you could ignore the fact that Chelsea were down to 10 men for 85 minutes and try and kick on and try and cement a decent run of form which certainly haven't done for a while now. But unfortunately that didn't happen, and it was all going wrong within the first 8 minutes, where Nketiah blasted in from, I think it was inside the box, I can't remember now, but yeah, if I'm going to be honest with you, when I first saw it, I thought it was 100% offside, but no, it was fine. I was like, oh dear. And then it got worse 20 minutes later. I sort of felt bad for Man United keeper Alto, because he made 2 brilliant saves before Nketiah got his second. And he did sort of have the face of, look guys, I can't actually save everything. And Sesko finally got his first goal. It took him 3 attempts. And that'll be good for him, and hopefully good for Man United, even though they did lose. That he's finally off the mark. But then they wrapped up the game, and Brentford wrapped up the game and added time. It was a good goal from Nick Jensen, but it was fairly central. I think something must have thrown India off, and I'm at the moment not going to put that much blame on him. I don't know what you guys think, but yeah, I definitely think there was something that meant he couldn't save it. And oh god, it's getting a bit bright. Hang on a minute. Okay, let's carry on. And then the team they did beat last week was Chelsea, who again went down to 10 men and again lost. Fortunately for me, I'm just a quick disclaimer, I'm a Chelsea fan, so if you do hear me getting a bit annoyed with the Chelsea result, that's probably why. But yeah, it was all looking alright when Fernandes put Chelsea in front. But they went half time 1-0 up, and it looked like everything was going back to normal. And then what you could probably say is classic from Chelsea in recent games is that they giving too many chances away, and Trevor Chalobah's red card. You could argue, well, not argue, but I think it's more down to Andre Santos doing a bad pass to him, which you could put down to his experience. So I'm not going to try and put full blame on him. And then when I was watching it on Soccer Saturday, it got to about 70 minutes, and I was like, we might actually still win this, you know. Then 7 minutes later, the Daily Mail went to make sure that wasn't the case. Uh, then Maxim Nketiah scored. Well, he did score. It did take the people I was watching. It took them a while to work out who actually had scored. And then 90 plus 10. Well, we did another one with another 4 pass from Chelsea, which is something that I have noticed from Chelsea a lot this season, and hopefully they can sort that out. And like I've just mentioned at the start, the first game I mentioned was a Chelsea game. Well, the second one I mentioned was a Chelsea game. The first one was Crystal Palace Liverpool, where I saw someone on social media saying that the Crystal Palace pretty much Liverpool. the Crystal Palace went from through Ismail Assar, even though if you watch the highlights, it's definitely a goal kick. But not that they don't care. It's like you get some fans trying to say that's like karma and stuff for some of the decisions that they think Liverpool have been getting recently. Let me know what you think about whether you think it is karma or just whether you just think it's just what football does. But yeah, if I remember rightly, yeah, this game had a lot of shots. 16 for Crystal Palace, 20 for Liverpool. I'm just looking on my phone. And it looked like it was just going to be 1-0 Crystal Palace, and then Federico Chiesa scored, and you could already sense all the people just already making the memes of it. They can't keep getting away with this. And those memes like that. And that's one quick point out. I know some people might disagree with me on this. I've watched the highlights like 4 or 5 times. I'm still not entirely sure this definitely hits Mohamed Salah's hand. But hey, it's a. If it's not, it's the whole thing clear and obvious is what I think made them get away with it. And we were all like, oh god, they've done it again. And then Eddie Nketiah came on the pitch for Ismail Assar, and funny enough, he'd also scored. I think it was the last kick of the game. I'd already started watching like the coverage of the late game, and well, I say late game was you've got this thing now where you got 5:30 and an 8 o'clock game. It was the non-Forest Sunderland game. I couldn't check my phone. I was like, oh my god, Crystal Palace have won. So yeah, it was good to see that the Liverpool can be beaten, which I think has calmed down quite a few of those teams at the top. And I always love saying the phrase that teams have other teams' number. But with Chelsea, it's Brentford, as you saw 2 weeks ago now. And it's looking like Crystal Palace have Liverpool's number. Well, actually, saying that with Chelsea, you could say Man United at Old Trafford have won since 2013, which is a stat that's genuinely unbelievable for how well we've been playing in that from 2013 to now. So yeah, and as I'll get to later, it affected them in the Champions League as well, and they lost to Galatasaray, but I'll get onto that in a bit. Next game, Leeds-Bournemouth 2-2. Leeds are looking good. All the Thrones guys are looking good. I'll say that Man City just beat Burnley 5-1, but it's Man City. But yeah, Leeds are good. Joe Rodon got his first goal after Semenya put him in front. which is actually Joe Ronnan's first goal. And if I'm not mistaken, does anyone else seemingly remember him scoring for Tottenham? But clearly he didn't. But yeah, he got his first goal for Leeds, his first goal in the Premier League. And I think we've got a contender for goal of the match week from John Longstaff. He sort of just hit it out after angering him because like everyone else his shots were getting blocked, and I think if you've ever played like Sunday League football, you know sometimes you just get so angry you just hit it, and that's basically what he did. And then, but it wasn't to be. I was so hoping Leeds would get another win, but Eli Krupi Jr. or Eli Junior Krupi, I can never remember which way around it is. Eli Junior Krupi, there we go. I had other ideas basically. No, I'm doing like Dream Team with like some of my family's mates, and some of the people I know didn't put Haaland in their team because we have this thing of it's either Salah or Haaland. So seeing him score in the 90th and 93rd minute, yeah, so some of them were a little bit annoyed. But you got to feel for Maxime Esteve, who got 2 own goals, and he pretty much couldn't do anything about either of them. So yeah, basically, it basically got to a point where he probably was thinking this couldn't get any worse. Like he didn't score any more goals, but he did concede 2 more times before the game was finished. But again, another game where Man City have conceded, and when they first bought Gigi Donnarumma, I was like, "Oh, that's them sorted. They've got such a good keeper. He's not going to concede." But he's conceded against Burnley. He's conceded against Arsenal, and then he conceded twice against Monaco. So you never know. It might end up being the same old story for Man City that what happened last season. They saw them losing to Tottenham and Brighton one after the other, which happened exactly the same time. Not exactly the same time, but it was the exact same sequence as last season. And then Sunderland. Sunderland are third. Sunderland were third after this game. Sunderland are now 5th. I remember watching the load of people's predictions. They had them almost nailed down to get relegated. And it was the same reason as who were up against Northern Forest when they first came up. Where they pretty much bought a new squad. But I think someone on Sky Sports might have mentioned this. That the difference is Northern Forest were just buying whoever was available, and not actually taking into account whether they actually needed it. Whereas with Sunderland, I think I saw in the news that like one of their centre backs got injured, and then they immediately signed Alderete. But I might be wrong with that. But it was sort of this thing of they were buying in positions they actually needed. Like when Muggy went back to Chelsea, they immediately bought Brian Brobbery. Because it's like they went, we've got a set amount of players we need in each position, and we need to stick to that no matter what happens. Which was kind of interesting to see. Just a notification. Alderete is looking good. Sunderland are looking good. Northern Forest probably should have scored. But hey, I don't want to jinx this, but I think Sunderland might stay up. They try to keep this not the same form they is now because that would be ridiculous. But they prove they can win these games, and they've got a squad good enough now that they could probably stay up quite comfortably in the end. Which for teams who are currently doing bad like West Ham, Wolves, and who else is at the bottom? Like if Aston Villa don't pick up either, even though Forest who they're playing against, they're going to start getting a bit worried if their form isn't picking up and Sunderland stays as it is as well. And then this is I've mentioned already I'm a Chelsea fan, so João Paulinho scoring in the Tottenham game right at the end, I was devastated. I was like, it's the classic Tottenham thing that I think you've seen that everyone jokes about in previous seasons, that they'll beat Man City or they'll beat the champions and then lose to a team that finishes bottom or finishes in the relegation zone. And for another year, it looked like it could happen again, judging by what happens by the end of the season. I doubt Wolves are going to have any problems. I was watching them in that game and I was genuinely sitting there going, this team's on zero. They're playing so well and they're on zero. Then you take into account that they've played Tottenham, Everton, who are looking good under David Moyes, Newcastle, and Bournemouth, who are doing well, and their first game was against Man City, so they haven't had the easiest run in. Well, not running because that's at the end. Probably know what I'm talking about. They did have a great starting six when I looked at it. But when it shows it up on the screen and I saw their first six, I was like, yeah, they might need to be quite at the bottom, but I still think they'll be okay. And it looked like, okay, it was Santiago Bueno who got the Wolves goal. And for a team who were bottom of the table, it was bottom of the table trademark. It was a scrappy goal from a corner from a set piece, which is what you definitely need. The amount of times I've seen relegated teams on relegation zone get their first win, and the goal is the definition of scrappy. But that's what you need. It's like you just have to get that bit of luck, and you go, okay, we can build on from this. We had so many games on the Saturday, which means we only had 2 on a Sunday and 1 on Monday. Aston Villa versus Fulham. Aston Villa have finally scored more than once in a game. And it looked like it's going to be saying a story after Jimenez put him in front and then got himself subdued off. For quite a bit of that first half, it looked like he could joke about that his work was done. But until Ollie Watkins chipped it in, it was brilliant goal. But what was again like the defending? He was left with a lot of space, so it did end up being too hard. And I actually went and I did something and missed Aston Villa's second 2 goals because it came so quickly in the second half. McGinn and Mendia. And yeah, I don't think some of the Aston Villa fans can believe they actually scored more than once for a change. Yeah, the 2 brilliant goals, brilliantly worked. Watkins has finally scored in... It got to double digits, if I remember, of not scoring. And he missed a penalty against... And he missed a penalty against Aston... Against... Who are they up against? He missed a penalty against Bologna, where a game where they didn't look convincing. But that day they looked convincing. And yeah, for Naomi, I think everything will be fine. Then the later game, Newcastle Arsenal. Again, a game I felt devastated by after Arsenal won it. I'm not going to get too much into the main talking part of that game, which is Victor Gyökeres's penalty that never was. It was it was an interesting turn of events. We would say Nick Pope got the ball, so it's not a penalty. Which I saw some people saying if that's not a penalty because he got the ball, then this one shouldn't have been a red card because he got the ball. The one I mainly saw was Robert Sanchez against Man United. But again, I'm not going to get too much into what I think of that because I feel like just the Chelsea mask end up coming out. And yeah, Newcastle are also a team in recent times who've had Arsenal's number, which looked like it was happening again when Nick Woltemade put them in front at half time. But then, something we usually saw from Liverpool this season, Michelino headed in, which I'm entirely convinced Nick Pope thought was going wide, which, when you look at what because he hit the post there, I don't blame him. And then Gabriel, who wanted a free kick for the push on that Nick Coleman did on him, which the only thing I know going to have people disagree with me that it was hardly a push. He would think to himself, even if people like me don't think it was a free kick, he felt like he got his justice when he scored in the 96th minute. And yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if Arsenal do actually win it this year. Yeah, just kind of think it's not going to be another season where they get really close but nothing. They get nothing again. Then Monday Night Football, Nuno Espirito Santo's first game for West Ham against Everton, who are being managed by his predecessor three before Julian Lopetegui and Graham Potter. David Moyes, who got him a lot of success. So you have a feeling that some of the West Ham fans wanted to get one up on him, which wasn't the case when Michael Keane headed him in front. It's like it was another corner. It cleared away. Cross came in. West Ham have a problem with crosses, I think, is the big problem that I've heard people saying, and that was again apparent that day. And it looked like to be a same story, but then Michael Keane actually had a say in the West Ham goal going in, where Joe Bone shot. I think he was going straight at the keeper, and then Michael Keane actually hit it, so it ended up more at the keeper, but it was like in the middle where his hands were, so it didn't really matter. I'm just trying to do it all off memory at the minute. But yeah, after all those games, you got top five of Liverpool, Arsenal, particularly no one at the minute. Then Crystal Palace, Tottenham, and Sunderland. Tottenham finished 17th. Crystal Palace, who again did well, but everyone thought they were sort of dropped it. And then Sunderland, like I've already said, looking good. And it would be interesting to see what I'm saying in like a couple of weeks' time. They could end up being like a bit way down the table is just be more of the expected. Bournemouth are doing well as well. I'd like Andoni Raiola. When they appointed him, it felt like it was a step in the right direction. It's definitely come to fruition for a second season now. Okay, so like I said, now we're getting onto the section that I usually wouldn't do. It's just going to be the Premier League stuff. And also these episodes will probably end up being longer than this. But this is just a test just to see what people think and what I can improve and stuff. So yeah, just let me know what I can improve. If I can get some people on, it definitely helps just so I'm not talking to myself all the time. But just a quick look at what some of the Premier League teams in the Champions League. Chelsea ended up being the only team from Premier League team from Tuesday who actually won, even though on paper they probably had the easiest game out, the hardest game out of the three against Benfica, where it was an own goal. If you can't score, just make them do it for you. And another red card, which I can see the media already talking about a lot, just saying, oh, this is the third game Chelsea have had a red card for. But it's for 30 seconds. I did like Ed Risker's joke in the first match press conference or interview, where he basically said, at least we've learned how to win with 10 men. Just in brackets, just ignore the fact it was for about 30 seconds. Galatasaray versus Liverpool. Liverpool leave out Mohamed Salah. Liverpool end up losing. They probably taught them a lesson. And another game where Isak hasn't scored. The only team he scored against is Southampton. I'm not going to say anything just yet, but if any Liverpool fans are watching this, are you getting a bit concerned? I want to see what people are thinking about him at the minute, or whether you think he's not had a pre-season, just let him get into the motion. Then Bodo Glimt versus Tottenham. Bodo Glimt look good. They look surprisingly good. Tottenham probably actually quite lucky to get something out of the game in the end. Thinking about the fact that if it wasn't for a missed penalty, Bodo Glimt might have won it. They would have been 3-0 up at one point. Also, the whole Champions League stuff, you had a day of a load of former Chelsea players scoring. You had Jackson for Bayern Munich against Paphos. You had Carly Chukwuemeka against Let's Go for Dortmund. And then you had Renato Vega scoring for Villarreal against the team he went on loan to at the end of last season. But on the it'll be yesterday when I'm recording this. Newcastle against United. If I'm pronouncing that right. They pretty much brushed them aside. They didn't stand a chance. Arsenal, for quite a bit of time, I thought they were going to end up having the same problem Liverpool had. But luckily for us fans, that wasn't the case. And Man City have dropped points against Monaco. And if you remember, it was like 6 years ago now, that 6-5 or 6-6 aggregate game. It was a great watch. Monaco have taken points or taken a win away from Man City for probably the second time in a row. With a certain Eric Dyer scoring a penalty. He won the penalty, and it wouldn't surprise me if he's not. I might quickly check and see if Eric Dyer is the normal penalty taker for Monaco now. But I actually wouldn't mind if it was a case of I've won it, I'm taking it. Which is a quite good mentality to have, as long as people don't start arguing with you. And today, just quickly flick through some of the European Conference Leagues. You got Chris Paz against Dinamo Kiev in Poland. You got You got Nottingham Forest against FC Midtjylland from Denmark. FC Midtjylland from Denmark, yeah. And Feyenoord versus Aston Villa will be a good game. That's probably going to be the one I'm going to end up watching. And just for any people who like watching Scottish football, Rangers, who still haven't won yet, I don't think. So it should be good, interesting to see how long Russell Martin keeps his job for. So any Scottish football fans, please let me know what you think about how the Scottish teams are getting on. Because I think I heard during one thing, yeah, Hearts are top. This could be an interesting season in the Scottish Premiership. But yeah, I think that about does it for the first episode of AfterMatch. The plan is to usually have this every Tuesday. So hopefully that's going to be the case next week. So you're going to get two episodes, one after the other, quite quickly. Basically, this whole thing is just I want to talk about football, and I just wanted an excuse to talk about football. That's basically what's going on with this. So let me know what you think about this first episode. What can I change about it? If you want to come on and talk about stuff, then that's fine. I kind of want this to be a thing I do every week. I would love to hear people's help. Hopefully, this background will change as this goes on. And yeah, hopefully I'll be in a happy mood if Chelsea beat Liverpool. But look, I'm someone who can be calm even if the team I'm supporting is losing. So yeah, see you next week. Thank you for watching Aftermatch. I've been Chris Coleman. See ya.